Welcome to the third video in our creative series where we're going to be exploring different variations with our lower body. So we're going to maybe putting our feet, legs, hips in different positions to see how we can really transform some traditional yoga poses to tweak what you may need for the day. So again, these yoga flows are to invite curiosity into your practice, to invite playfulness, and to see if you can become aware before each practice about how you're feeling, how you want to feel, and see if you can make that shift through maybe tweaking some traditional yoga poses to see what you need for the day. As always, if you've got some blocks, bring those to your mat, and we will begin in any seated position that feels comfortable for you today. Seated in a simple Sukhasana seat, you can sit back on your heels, whatever feels good for you today. And get out any little wiggles, close down the eyes, and take a moment to tune into how you're feeling at the beginning of this practice. No right or wrong answer. Just taking notice. And now maybe taking a minute to set an intention or have a thought of how you want to feel at the end of practice. Maybe saying that thought or intention one more time before we begin. Slowly blinking the eyes open and come to start in an all fours position. So if this is the first video that you're doing in this series, what we're going to do is we're going to go through the flow 3 times. The first time will be quite slow, minimal cues. Take the time to really see how the pose feels in your body. Second round through, we'll just go a little bit quicker just to make your body be a little bit more familiar with it. And then the third round is when we are going to introduce a little bit more of the creative intention for that piece. So to begin, coming into an all fours position, shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. A couple rounds of cat-cow. So inhale, dipping the belly, arching the back. And exhale to round, dipping chin to chest, pulling belly button to spine. Inhale to arch. Again, just go at your own pace, own breath. Nice and slow here. Minimal cues. Take the time to see how this pose feels in your body as we're starting practice. On your next inhale, coming to a neutral spine, walking hands back to meet the knees, coming up to a kneeling position. Exhale, step the right foot forward for your low lunge. Grounding down through all 4 corners of the front foot. Squeeze those inner thighs together. Whatever feels comfortable with the hands. Hands on hips in the air. Wherever feels good. Tune into what parts of your body are speaking to you in this pose. Bringing the right knee back to meet the left. Taking a breath. Stepping left foot forward. Low lunge on the second side. It's okay if it feels a lot different, a lot weaker or stronger on one side. Maybe one side feels more wobbly than the other. Really just try and step into the role of the observer here. Bring the left knee back to meet the right. Walking your hands out in front. Spread those fingertips wide. Take a moment to set up through, pushing strong through the fingertips, strong through the shoulders. Tuck the toes under. Inhale here. Exhale, send the hips high for our down dog. We're not too warm yet, so take the time to set it up. Walking out your dog, maybe bending into one knee and then the other. Keep the knees nice and generously bent here if you need to, before settling into some stillness. Where is your body trying to make you send your attention to? What is speaking to you? Coming back to that intention, how do you want to feel the end of this practice? Walking your hands back to meet your feet, bend into your knees generously, belly rest on the thighs, letting your head hang heavy for a little forward fold. Inhale as you slowly roll up one vertebra at a time. Exhale, stepping the right foot forward. Left foot becomes parallel with the back of the mat, setting up for your warrior two. Bend into the right knee, sending the arms out towards the front and the back of the mat. Gaze wherever feels comfortable. Tune into that breath. Inhale, flip the right palm. Exhale, sweep it up and over. Left hand comes to left thigh. Exhale, right forearm comes to right thigh, left arm rainbows up and overhead. Gazing up at the ceiling, down at the floor, wherever feels good. Inhale to rise, turning right foot to the long edge of the mat. So feet are parallel with the short edges of the mat. You can bend your knees here. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, hinge at the hips for your wide-legged forward fold. You can rest your arms on your hips or down on the floor. Again, where you're just kind of warming up, so you can bend into one knee and then the other. You can find stillness. Inhale to rise. Turning left foot to meet the back of the mat. Right foot is parallel with the front of the mat. Inhale here. Exhale, bend into the left knee, sending the arms towards the front and the back of the mat for your warrior two on the second side. Does this feel any different from the right side? Inhale, flip the left palm, sweep it up and over. Right hand comes to right thigh, reaching through the left fingertips. Exhale, left forearm comes to left thigh, right arm reaches up and over. Inhale to rise. Left foot parallel with the back of the mat. Again, bend into the knees. Inhale here. Exhale, hinge at the hips to fold forward. Inhale, rolling up to a standing position. Heel toe your feet in closer together. Bringing the weight more into the left foot. Right foot comes to the inside of the left ankle, calf, or thigh, whatever's feeling good for you today. Taking a moment to set up here. No right or wrong answer. Hands can go at prayer or at hips. Hands can go up high. Just taking a moment to see how this shape feels for you today. Inhale here. Exhale, bending into the left knee a little bit as you send your right leg long for warrior three. If you're feeling a little bit wobbly today, just bring that left or right toe back as a little kickstand, or it can just barely hover over the ground. Next exhale, bringing the right foot back to meet the left, setting up for that on the second side, putting your weight more into the right foot. Left foot comes to the right ankle, calf, or thigh, whatever feels good for you. But really just taking the time to kind of set yourself up for where you usually default to, and really tuning into how your body feels, how your body usually feels in this pose, what usually speaks to you, paying attention to just if one area usually speaks to you and you just can't seem to figure it out to make it feel better. Good, inhale here, exhale, send the left leg long as you bend into the right knee, sending the chest forward for your warrior three. Left foot comes back to meet the right. You can give it all a little shake. Taking your time to come back down to a seated position. You're going to extend the right leg out long. Left foot comes to meet the right inner thigh. You're going to inhale your arms down, rounding up. Exhale, twisting at the navel, sending your chest over towards the right knee. As you hinge at the hips to fold forward. Again, not trying to go into the deepest expression that you can right now. Maybe back off a little bit so you can really feel how this right leg is feeling in this pose. Inhaling to rise, switching over to the second side, extending the left leg long. Again, reaching those arms down, rounding up on your inhale. Exhale, twisting to the left. As you bring your left chest over your left, your chest over your left thigh. Gazing wherever feels comfortable, maybe just down at the floor, maybe gazing at those left toes. Inhaling to rise, bring left sole of foot to meet the right. For a butterfly pose, you can keep the spine nice and long, sitting up tall, or hinging at the hips to fold forward. This is our last pose here, so really just taking a few moments, tuning into your breath, tuning into your body. What is speaking to you today? How does this pose feel? Good. Inhaling to rise. We're going to come back to our all fours position to do this sequence one more time, just a little bit quicker, just to get your body more familiar with this sequence of poses. So a few rounds of cat-cow at your own speed here. Inhaling, dropping the belly, arching the back. Exhale to round. Maybe you're going a little bit quicker this time. Walking the hands back to meet the knees. Inhaling to rise up to a kneeling position. Exhale, step that right foot forward. Maybe you can go a little bit deeper now. See how it feels to go a little bit deeper. Exhale, bringing the right knee back to meet the left, stepping the left foot forward. Bring the left knee back to meet the right. Walking the hands forward a little bit more. Tuck the toes under, take a breath here. And exhale, send the hips high for down dog. Pushing strong through the fingers, strong through the shoulders. Pedaling out through the feet or finding stillness. Walking the hands back to meet the feet. Folding for our forward fold, letting the head hang heavy. Inhale, rolling up. Exhale, stepping the right foot forward, setting up for your warrior two on the right side. Bend into the right knee, send the arms out long. Inhale, flip the front palm, reverse your warrior. Exhale, right forearm to right thigh, left arm sweeps up and over. Inhale to rise, turning right foot parallel with the front of the mat. Bend your knees, hinge at the hips on your exhale for your forward fold. Wide-legged forward fold. Inhale to rise. Exhale, turning left foot towards the back of the mat. Setting up for warrior two on the left side. Bend into the left knee. Arms go out wide. Inhale, flip the left palm, sweep it up and over. Exhale, left forearm comes to meet left thigh. Right arm reaches up and over. Tune into that breath. See if you can link your movement with your breath. Inhale as you rise, flipping left foot so that both feet are parallel with the short edges of the mat. Bend the knees, big deep breath in here. Extend the spine, exhale, hinge at the hips to fold forward. Inhale to rise, exhale, heel toe your feet a little bit closer together. Feet more, or weight more in the left foot, left leg, as you place the right foot to the ankle, calf, or thigh. Maybe you're feeling a little bit more warmed up to move up the leg now. Wherever you want with your arms, tune into that breath, tune into your body. Exhale, send the right leg long for warrior three. Inhale, bringing the right foot back down to the mat. Weight more on the right foot. Placing the left foot wherever feels good on the right leg for tree pose on the second side. Next, exhale, sending the left foot long. Chest goes forward for warrior three. Left foot comes back down to meet the right. Coming to a seated position. Right leg extends long, left leg bends in towards the groin. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, turn towards that right leg as you fold forward. Maybe you can experiment with folding a little bit deeper now, seeing how that feels. Inhale to rise, switching over, second side, left leg extends long, right knee bends to tuck the right foot in towards the left thigh. Inhale, arms down, round and up. Exhale to fold at the hinge at the hip to fold forward. Inhale to rise, exhale, bringing left foot back to meet the sole of the right foot. Again, keeping spine long, or you can round or just simply fold forward. And now we're going to move on to the third round, which is more of the creative round, where we're going to explore just some different variations. Again, this is just to get you feeling playful, feeling curious in your practice. Everything that I suggest is just a suggestion. Anything that you are feeling called to do in that moment, try it out. See how your body feels. Maybe taking a moment to come back to that intention that you set at the beginning of practice, saying that to yourself one more time, and seeing if you can make that switch through this third round of just being a little bit more creative, being a little bit more curious and playful. So, coming back to our all fours position. In this round, we are mainly going to be working on the lower body. So we're just going to be experimenting with tweaking the traditional cat-cow to see how it feels. So still, shoulders over the wrist as far as your lower body. Maybe you want to have your heels more out wide. Knees turned in for more of an internal rotation, setting up yourself to do cat-cow like this. Trying that out for a few rounds. Maybe you want toes in, knees wide. Cat-cowing here. Maybe you want to experiment with your knees a little bit closer to your wrist, or even further back. Knees or hips are a little bit ahead of the knees. You can have your legs simply a little bit wider than hips width apart. Again, no right or wrong answer. Just experiment a little bit here with something that you haven't tried before, and see if you can get into an area of your body that was talking to you earlier that you couldn't get into when your hips were, or your knees were just hips width apart. But walking your hands back to meet your knees, taking a breath here as you're coming up to a kneeling position. Exhale, step the right foot forward. Maybe you want that right foot a lot wider, giving yourself a more stable base. Maybe you're wanting to test your balance a little bit, so maybe you try and put your legs on train tracks, where your right knee or your right heel is in line with your left knee. Maybe you want your feet wide, but or your right foot at a 45-degree angle, a little bit more of an external rotation of the hips. Instead of finding stillness, maybe you want to bend into the knee, coming in and out of it. Maybe something as simple as just tucking the left toes under if you always have them flat on the mat. Coming back so the right knee meets the left. Same thing on the second side. You don't have to do the exact same thing on the second side. Maybe you want to try, maybe you tried it wide on the right side, but you want to try a lot narrow stance on the left side. You can use a wall or any piece of furniture that you have nearby. This is interesting, actually. I've never really tried it with this train tracks because I feel really wobbly, but if I use the support of the wall, I feel like I get a deeper stretch through my right hip flexor. Maybe just turning the foot out to 45 degrees, pulsing in and out. No right or wrong answer. Bringing the left knee back to meet the right, walking the hands out in front. Take the time to set up your hands here though, so that you're going to be nice and stable. Spread those fingertips wide. You're going to be pressing through the shoulders. Maybe you always tuck the toes under for down dog. Maybe you want to keep your feet flat on the floor. And inhale here and exhale, coming up to down dog, keeping the toes tucked under. This is pretty intense. If that doesn't feel good, go ahead and untuck those toes again, or tuck the toes in. Maybe you want toes turned in, again, a little bit more of internal rotation. You can bend and straighten into the knees. This is going to be getting into different areas of your sciatic nerve too. So if anything feels too intense, just back off a little bit. You can still keep this position, but maybe bend a little bit more into your knees. You can try toes out, heels in. Again, bend it. You can bend into the knees as much as you want, trying to bend and straighten. Coming back to a traditional down dog, you can try and untuck one foot at a time. If you want to try and get that nice stretch through the front of the foot, but on top of the toes was a little too intense, you can go 1 foot at a time. Good. Walking your hands back to meet your feet for a forward fold. Again, maybe you want to try and turn those toes in. Might help you really widen through your sits bones. Maybe you want your toes out. Maybe you want to bend and straighten into the knees. Inhale to rise. Rolling one vertebra at a time. Exhale, stepping right foot forward for our warrior two. Taking a moment here. Maybe you always have about the same length of your warrior two. Maybe you want to just simply shorten your stance and see if, this is a lot more tolerable. I used to hate warrior two, but if I just shorten my stance a little bit, that's a lot more tolerable. Or maybe you try and really if you're really feeling like I'm feeling strong today, I want to challenge myself. Maybe really try and lengthen that stance as much as you can. Still keeping strong through the legs. Good. Maybe you always feel a little unsteady in your warrior two. Try widening your stance so your feet are more on train tracks versus in one line. See how that can transform it for you. Maybe you just want to flex into the ankle, get a little bit more movement into that ankle joint. Maybe you just like movement in each pose, which I love. So I like to just bend and straighten, really pulsing into the pose a little bit before finding stillness. Maybe you don't want to worry about the arms at all and you just want to experiment with the legs. Even if you aren't involving those arms, see if you can reach that left arm down a little bit, bending into the left side. You can send the right arm up overhead or keep it on the hips. Same thing here with those legs. Maybe you want to bend and straighten into the knee. Maybe you want to crisscross the legs a little bit. Maybe you feel something totally different that you've never felt before. I get even a deeper, this is something I've never really done before, but I get a pretty nice stretch through the outside of my right hip here. Leaning over to the other side as your right forearm comes to meet the right thigh, left arm up and over if you want it, or just keep it at the hip if you don't want to keep the arms, you don't want to think about your arms. See what you can do with your legs. I also like just a really wide stance here. Makes me feel a lot more stable. Even maybe lifting up those back toes as you bend into the right knee. And then foot back flat on the mat. Getting a little bit deeper into the left inner thigh. Good. Inhaling. Coming up. Taking a moment to have your feet parallel with the short edges of the mat. Inhale here. Exhale, bend the knees as you hinge forward for your forward fold. Maybe you walk your toes in a little bit more. See how it feels with a narrow stance. Maybe you walk them out a little bit further. Maybe you put your hands up on blocks to see how far you can really extend your legs. And anything here that your body feels called to do. Maybe you want to try coming up onto tiptoes. Flexing and extending through the ankle. Maybe you want to bend into one knee, raising up the toes of the other foot. No right answer, whatever feels good to you. Good, inhaling to rise. Turning your left toes to the back of the mat as you set up for your warrior two on the second side. Again, you do not have to do the same thing that you did on the right side. Maybe you liked a wide stance on the right side, but the left side, you really just want to try crisscrossing it a little bit. And again, maybe all of these options feel so awkward and you don't like them. You just want to do it the normal way. That is okay. If you've never experimented with your warrior two in a different position, it's going to feel very awkward. But can you make it playful? Can you get curious and see what different parts of your body you can work into? Again, inhaling, bringing that left arm up and over. You side bend into the right for your reverse warrior. Whatever feels good. Just a little flexing and extending of my ankle always feels very good to me. Exhale, bringing that left arm down to the left thigh for your side angle pose. Again, if you just want to hang out in your traditional side angle, do that. If you want to try and shorten that stance, maybe bringing your left hand to your left thigh, giving yourself a lot more space. Maybe this feels really nice. Good. Inhaling to rise. Exhale. Feet parallel with the long edges of the mat. Bend into the knees as you fold forward for your wide-legged forward fold. Maybe you just are really trying to widen through your sits bones, bending and straightening into the legs. This can really help activate your muscles, just these little movements versus the passive movements and finding stillness. Inhaling to rise. Heel toeing feet closer together. Setting up for our tree pose. Weight mainly in the left foot. Right leg, maybe you always put it on your ankle, your calf, or your thigh. Maybe you want to just hang the foot out to the side. Maybe you need a little bit more space. You can still open up that leg, but the leg, you're activating those muscles, just holding that leg in place. Maybe you want to roll out through the ankle. Maybe you want to come up onto tiptoes of the left foot. Just experimenting. Maybe you just want to bring the leg out in front instead of out to the side. Good. Exhale, sending the right leg long. Again, just a simple roll out through the ankle can be really good for you, really good for your brain, just these different movements that you may not be used to. Maybe you want to try and send the leg instead of out behind you, maybe you just want to send the right leg out to the side. Good. Bringing the right leg back to meet the left. Setting up for tree pose on the second side. Sending that weight more into the right foot. Left foot. Maybe you like it down on the mat as a little kickstand. Just bending and flexing into coming up on the toes on the right leg. Maybe you want to hover that left leg in the air. Rolling out through the left ankle. Exhale, sending the left leg back or out to the side. You're doing those ankle rolls or trying to come up onto the right toes. Good. Left foot comes back to meet the right. Coming back down into a seated position. Again, I always feel like I'm working a lot harder when I'm doing stuff like that. So if you feel like your brain is like just about to explode, it's okay. It's learning new movements. And the more, again, you only have to pick one little movement, just giving you ideas. But the more you work through this, you might just find a new variation of the pose that you absolutely love. So coming to have the right leg extended, left leg is bent. Maybe you don't like the left leg all the way in towards the thigh and you just kind of want it at more of like a 90 degrees, that's okay. You can, I really like to bend and straighten into the knee here and experiment with different variations of my foot being flexed. Sometimes I try and bring more of the big toe closer to me. Bending and straightening into the knee there. And then turning so that the pinky toe is closer. Maybe you're rolling out through the ankle. If you just want to be done experimenting, you're just like, I just want to sit with the leg there and have it nice and lazy, that's okay too. Good little shakeout's always good. Switching over to the second side, left leg extends out long. Whatever you want to do with the left leg, left foot. Again, just a simple variation of trying to bring the big toe closer to you versus how does it feel to bring the pinky toe closer to you. Bringing the left foot back in to meet the right. Maybe you just want to wiggle out through the toes a little bit. Sometimes I like to just pinch the tip of each toe, wake it up a little bit, give each toe a little shake. Maybe bending each toe back a little bit. Always feels good to me. Massaging out through the feet. Any last little movements of the feet that you want to make, maybe pointing one last time through the ankles. As you come down to lie on your back and instead, if you always extend your legs out long for Shavasana, maybe you want to bend into the knees, feet as wide as the mat, knees knock in towards one another. You can bring the knees to the chest, just curling up into a ball. You can bring the soles of the feet together, knees wide for a reclined butterfly. Or even just legs out long, but nice and close together. Maybe just a small variation of your Shavasana. And again, just taking a moment to reflect on any position that maybe you found something that you loved. Maybe you hated it at all and you realize, I just like doing all the yoga poses the traditional way. That's okay too. It's okay to like what's familiar, what your body feels good doing. But sometimes through a little bit of curiosity, we find a new variation of a pose that becomes our new favorite and our new default. So just taking a few more breaths here in your Shavasana. And whenever you're ready, rolling over onto one side, coming up to a seated position. And slowly blinking the eyes open. Thank you for moving with me today. Thank you for trying a few things outside of the box, hopefully. I hope you loved it. I hope it got you feeling curious and playful. And I hope you can take that into your own yoga practice. Namaste.